It condemns without admission of mitigating circumstances the accused to death for the war crime of intentional homicide or murder, to death for the war crime of rape.
We are satisfied because justice has been served. It is also the first time that a former president of the Republic finds himself in conflict with the interests of the Republic. That is why it was necessary to give the Congolese population, the Congolese people, the feeling that no impunity will be tolerated in this country anymore.
He was also ordered to pay around $50 billion in various damages to the state and victims. The verdict could fuel further divisions in the vast mineral-rich Central African nation that has endured decades of conflicts. Kabila spent almost 2 decades in power and only stepped down after deadly protests against him. Since late 2023, he has been residing mostly in South Africa, though he did appear in rebel-held Goma in eastern Congo in May. He entered into an awkward power-sharing deal with his successor Felix Tshisekedi, but their relationship soon soured. As M23 marched on East Congo's second-largest city of Bukavu in February, Tshisekedi told the Munich Security Conference that Kabila had sponsored the insurgency.
The problem is President Felix. The solution is President Felix. Now, how do you understand that? How do you turn that left and right? Up to you. But critical decisions have to be made. And in critical times, you have to make critical decisions. And these are critical times for the Congo. But in as far as we are concerned, well, like I said, we intend to be very much involved in everything that's happening, especially in as far as peace is concerned.
M23 now controls much of North Kivu and South Kivu provinces. The fighting killed thousands and displaced hundreds of thousands more this year. The two sides signed a US-brokered peace agreement in June, although they're both reinforcing their positions and blaming one another for flouting the accord. Residents of Congo's eastern city of Bukavu, under rebel occupation since February, were dismayed that former President Kabila was sentenced to death in absentia.
I remind you that this trial has cost millions to the public treasury that they are trying to justify. We ask ourselves, if today Joseph Kabila Kabang is condemned, will this conviction end the war in eastern DRC? In other circumstances, we, as the population of the eastern part, would already want the organization of a truly inclusive dialogue that would bring everyone to the table so that we can achieve lasting peace. But we see that this regime always goes against the grain, in the sense of distracting the population, and that's how time passes.
Rwanda, which has long denied helping M23, says its forces act in self-defense against Congo's army and ethnic Hutu militiamen linked to the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Tshisekedi's government has moved to suspend Kabila's political party and seize the assets of its leaders. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One. From the center, let's move to the east. Recent mass fish deaths at Dunga Beach, Kisumu in Kenya are linked to water pollution, with authorities citing low oxygen levels and clogged cages as primary causes, exacerbated by the decomposition of excess algae from River Kibos, runoff, and climate change. The incident has caused significant financial losses for cage fish farmers and negatively impacted fishmongers and other local businesses, with concerns also being rising about the long-term impact of heavy metals and pesticides in the lake.
Fish cage farmers at Dunga Beach counted losses after thousands of fish were found dead in their cages, threatening livelihoods and raising environmental concerns. Nicholas Owiti Didi, one of the affected farmers, described this as a huge financial blow.
According to our knowledge, it is that they suffocated. There is no something like poisoning. They're only suffocated because for me to tell you that fish from within the lake has not died. It is only the fish within the cages.
Cumulatively, we've lost close to 20 million Kenya shillings in terms of feeds, in terms of fingerlings, in terms of security personnel, a lot of things put together.
Other farmers say the crisis has worsened food insecurity in the region. County officials, led by Kenneth Onyango Odhiambo, Kisumu's Minister for Agriculture, Livestock, Irrigation, Fisheries and the Blue Economy, visited the site.
What we are getting, which is subject to scientific proof, is that there could be upwelling of the waters, which actually now makes the oxygen levels to go down. But of course, there is also the issue of pollution, which could be attributed to the rivers that discharge their raw effluents through River Auji.
Africa's freshwater fish are on the decline, according to a recent report by the Worldwide Fund for Nature. According to WWF, the fish populations that underpin this activity are shrinking fast. The report, Africa's Forgotten Fishes, has found that 26% of freshwater fish species across the continent are at risk of extinction. That means 1 in 4 could be lost forever. On the shores of Lake Victoria, fish traders are already living with the consequences of decline.
The report established that we have over 500 species which are data deficient. According to WWF and other partners in global conservation, especially partners like IUCN, which are feeding to fish biodiversity monitoring in Africa and elsewhere in the world, being data deficient does not equal to not at risk. So I think that is the punchline, that because these species are data deficient doesn't mean that they are not at risk.
Freshwater fish play a crucial role in recycling nutrients and maintaining healthy ecosystems. They are also a major source of protein and income. WWF is urging governments to adopt its emergency recovery plan, which calls for cleaning up water, controlling invasive species, protecting rivers, and ending unsustainable fishing. The report warns that the next decade will be crucial in deciding whether Africa's inland waters continue to decline or can be restored. Africa Bureau, WION World is One.
Seeds key to Nigeria's beloved egusi soup orbited Earth for 7 days aboard the International Space Station. The seeds, sourced from Oyo State, are now back home being analyzed to see how plants can adopt or adapt to microgravity and whether egusi can one day be served to African astronauts in space. Here's a report by our correspondent from Lagos, Louisa Olani.
Imagine this. A staple of Nigerian cuisine, egusi soup, might just one day be consumed on the moon or on Mars. This culinary dream might be one small step closer to being realized after melon seeds, from which the thick, fragrant dish beloved by many Nigerians is made, orbited the Earth for 7 days and returned earlier this year in August to be studied by space scientists. The egusi seeds were transported to the International Space Station by a capsule that launched from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida in August as part of a project to find out how seeds react to conditions in space.
Everybody in Nigeria eats egusi, and even other people in some West African countries and Africans in the diaspora, this is something they could connect to. So, the idea was something that originates from this part of the world. And personally, I feel like egusi is that.
A source of protein, were packed into specialized test tubes on the Crew 11 space capsule launched on August 1st, along with some heritage seeds from Costa Rica, Guatemala, Armenia, and Pakistan. Wagner Vendrame, professor at University of Florida, one of the researchers involved in the project, said that future astronauts would need a better variety and quality of foods than the ultra-processed, freeze-dried meals that are currently space staples.
This is the first time we're experimenting with seeds from Africa. So we're figuring out, can the plants adapt to microgravity? And if they can, that will be of value for astronauts for long-term missions, like going to Mars or going back to the moon. Because especially for Mars, which is a long trip, astronauts need to have a good source of nutrients. So having a variety of food crops that they can grow in space, that will be of value to them.
Onio-san, who picked the space-traveling egusi seeds from markets in the southwestern Nigerian state of Oyo, said the choice was motivated not only by the seeds' nutritional properties, but also by culture and symbolism.
The goal is that, in the next couple of decades, when people are living on the moon or on the Mars, and they're looking at growing food and all of that, food that are native to Africa would be part of that. So even 50 years time, Africans are living on the moon. We want them to be growing and planting egusi and be eaten.
The seeds that were in orbit are now being distributed to researchers for further study. The result of the research would be made public in a publication in the next 3 months.
For the Nigerian egusi soup, the stars is no limit to how far it can go, as its seed have become the first Nigerian object in orbit launched on NASA's Crew 11 mission led by Dr. Temidayo Oniosho of Space in Africa. The hearty protein-packed star of soups that goes so well with fufu or akpu, as the case may be, has tantalized taste buds as it is a cultural cornerstone revered worldwide as a symbol of Nigerian resilience and flavor. Nigerians are super excited as the revered dish, which almost all tribes in the country lay claim to, by the way, takes a giant leap, hopeful that in decades to come, African ingenuity will spice up humanity's cosmic future, paving the way for sustainable crops in the stars. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olani, WION, World is One.
Now, the tomb of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, one of the largest in southern Egypt's Valley of the Kings and Queens, is officially open to the public after years of restoration. Decades of deterioration had left the structure at risk of collapse. Carved into the hillside on the west bank of the Nile, opposite the city of Luxor, the tomb is decorated with wall paintings that are among the most exquisite of those surviving in the royal tombs of the 18th dynasty. And that's according to Japan's UNESCO mission. Here's a report.
The tomb of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, one of the largest in southern Egypt's Valley of the Kings and Queens, was officially opened to the public on September 4, 2025, after years of restoration. Egypt's Tourism and Antiquities Minister Sharif Fathi unveiled to reporters the newly refurbished site, which dates back more than 3,000 years.
The restoration process of the tomb was very precise because the tomb had suffered greatly from neglect and some parts were in poor condition. Therefore, the work continued for nearly 2 decades.
Authorities led visitors through the colossal space, which boasts floor-to-ceiling wall paintings, the bright blue of the frescoes shining even in the dim light. In its center, visitors observed Amenhotep's massive granite sarcophagus lid etched with hieroglyphics, far too heavy to be carted away like the tomb's other contents. The site was first documented in 1799 during the brief Napoleonic conquest of Egypt. After a long history of excavation, looting, and heavy damage, it was restored with support from the Japanese government and UNESCO.
So, 260 representatives over the 20 years, researchers, specialized conservation, super skilled technicians. So I think this is a very big achievement. Why? You have a very good examples of the achievement that have been, raised over the last 30 years, 20 years. But we can say that the tomb that you are going to visit today is at the super highest level of the international standards for integrated conservation.
Amenhotep III ascended to the throne as a teenager and ruled for around 4 decades of prosperity, stability, and artistic grandeur before dying in 1349 BC at the age of 50. He was buried in the famed Theban necropolis, where ancient Egyptian kings, queens, priests, and royal scribes were interred between the 16th and 11th centuries BC. Following French and British excavations in 1799 and 1915, most of the tomb's contents were taken away to the Louvre Museum in Paris, the Metropolitan Museum in New York, and Highclere Castle in the United Kingdom, according to Waseda University in Japan.
It's a long process. It has been a long-term comprehensive intervention, and of course you will see when entering what is the kind of essence of all the knowledge that we were able, because it's not just about wall painting. So this is not about painting. This is not about aesthetics. This is about the way in which this remarkable tomb has been researched.
Near his tomb, Amenhotep's massive mortuary temple, known as Qam al-Hitan, has suffered extensive damage from annual Nile flooding, but 2 giant granite statues known as the Colossi of Memnon survive, greeting visitors into the ancient valley. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
Marble, gold, mirrors, and perfect lighting. In Nigeria, bathroom selfies are no joke. Bars and lounges are turning bathrooms into showpieces, not just to keep up with the trend, but to pull in new customers. Here's a report from Lagos.
With its marbled walls, exposed light bulbs, and plentiful mirrors, the bathroom at the library, a nightclub in Lagos, Nigeria, is practically begging patrons to snap a photo. Then it comes, a message delivered on a gold-framed sign: no selfies in the restroom, just kidding. In Nigeria, bathroom selfies are no joke. From the buzzing megacity of Lagos to the stuffy capital Abuja and conservative Kano in the north, bars and lounges are decking out their restrooms, not just to catch up with times, but also to bring in new customers.
We're trying our best to do some creative things, and we need to create something new for the customers, some beautiful touches, like something to remember us. So they will go tell their friends, I was in the bathroom, I took champagne glass, like it's something new for us.
Renovations have been made, mirrors rearranged, and lighting adjusted. More is more. Marble and gold, sometimes of the faux variety, are popular design choices. At Zaza, a nightlife staple, pressing a button on the bathroom wall will summon a complimentary glass of champagne that pops through a small window. It's all part of a campaign to ease nerves and draw smiles among those in front of the mirror. Inside, women adjusted the necklines of their brightly colored dresses, swayed their hips and batted their fake eyelashes, phones in hand. The walls are adorned with floral wallpaper and multiple mirrors allowing for different shooting angles. There is something in it for the clubs as well, the free advertising that comes with so many people posting their selfies to social media, including influencers with massive followings.
My last day birthday, I did my birthday picture in this restroom. So it's very, very important. It's very important for women because most of the time, the cost of going to a studio to take professional pictures, it's alarming these days. So having a space like this where you can take pictures with your cell phones, edit on your own is actually perfect.
In the smartphone era, the bathroom mirror selfie might be a long-established trend. The trend extends all the way up to Kano, the cultural and economic capital of Nigeria's mostly Muslim, largely conservative north.
It is a very big thing in Nigeria. They love taking photos, ladies specifically, and they enjoyed this little private space. So we were also bombarded later by 6,000 tags in our bathrooms after 2 weeks of the opening. So now we understand, and I think everybody in Nigeria understands that bathrooms are very, very important. So I believe we have started this trend. And now I think it's very big in Nigeria.
No other person is there to look at them, to see them do their thing. They're just there doing their thing, taking selfies and all of that. They're actually comfortable when they're in the restroom. So I think that's why there's a trend of ladies taking pictures or selfies in the restroom.
Amid the current restroom arms race, there are also rivalries and claims of being first. It's easy to understand the mix-up. No toilets were visible in the photo, though a crystal chandelier was. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
And that's all the buzz in Africa this week. Get in touch with us on all our social media platforms and on our website and share your story with us from the continent. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Njoka. Thank you for watching this week's episode of World of Africa on WION World is One. It's goodbye from me.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at yowon.com.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. And on the show today, it's 2 years since the 7th of October attack and the relentless Gaza offensive that began since then. So what objectives has Netanyahu actually achieved through this war, and what do the Israeli people think of their Prime Minister? And also on the show, we'll take a look at the United States of America, where Donald Trump is threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act, where the questions are being raised about the legality of Donald Trump seeking to deploy the National Guard in the American cities, apparently to combat crime. But the question obviously is this: what really are Donald Trump's true intentions, and can Donald Trump impose his will on the American states? But let's of course start with our top story. It is 2 years since the Israel-Gaza war began. Gaza has been almost completely destroyed. With more than 67,000 Palestinians killed so far, Israel, a nation that was embroiled in political instability even before the war began, has been governed by Netanyahu throughout the war. But global and domestic perception may have shifted. Now here's a lowdown. From 2018 till 2022, a total of 5 parliamentary elections had been held in the state of Israel, all of which failed to deliver a clear verdict. But after a wave of political instability and also losing the prime ministerial job to Naftali Bennett in 2021,